three. Hello.
Hello.
Hello there.
Every
Happy
time.
February.
Episode 48.
7.
7. Episode 47.
Math is
I know.
People have to. People have
Maybe
to think
one day
we do
we'll
that shit
remember
on
to look it
purpose
up
now.
before
Just
starting
redid
recording.
46 because Clay noticed that I didn't do the names right because I manually put on the names through the whole podcast, and then every time we do a screen share, I have to cut the names out. So I missed a section, so I re-uploaded it on 46.
It's okay. You're pretty.
Yeah. Anyway.
All right. Well, welcome.
Woohoo!
Well, who invited our guest?
Woohoo! I think I did.
All right. Well, introduce.
Charlie. Yes, he's one of the new owners. Well, how long has it been now?
4 years.
4 years.
Brand new.
In the grand scheme of things, of the Lone Star Saloon, which is just has so many memories for me. It's amazing. And we'll talk
we want to
about
hear
that a
some
little
of this later.
No, yeah. So thank you for coming on, Charlie.
Me.
So there's so much to talk about, but let's do how you ended up owning the bar.
Well, I worked there for 10 years as a bartender. I was working at the Hilton as the director of restaurants, and I sort of ran away and joined the circus, and started working 3 shifts in a gay bar, and just had all this extra time, and so I worked there for 10 years. It became available for sale, and we wanted to sort of steer it back towards being a bear bar again.
Wait, so you're saying that the owner before you wasn't the original owner?
No, it was Kevin. Originally, it was oh shit, I can't think of his name now. Anyway, the original owner, he had it for about a year, and then Kevin had it for a good 20-something years.
Right.
No, 18 years, and then Tony and JJ had it for 8 years, and now Bruce and I have had it for 4 years. So that's the 30-something years.
Okay. I didn't realize that it had steered away from being a bear bar for a little bit.
Yeah, I was wondering that too. So Tony and JJ had a different vision for the bar?
They did. They very actively steered it more towards being an event space / neighborhood bar rather than having any particular identity, be it bear or anything really.
What were they opposed to with that? I mean, what was the...
Well, they too had been bartenders and finally had the opportunity to buy a bar and do their own thing.
Gotcha.
And that's what they wanted to do. And, free country, I guess.
Yeah.
I don't want to stand on. I didn't want to.
Yeah. Well, awesome. So I guess we can talk about the COVID thing in a little bit, but there's still a lot of history. Like you said, when Kevin owned it, I know he did a lot of merchandising.
Yes.
He was really big into T-shirts. Used to go with John Clifton, right, to the T-shirt shows and get a lot of T-shirts. That famous T-shirt with the red star on it is like worldwide.
Yep. And it was
about that. You know about that?
Yeah, absolutely. I went to the old Lone Star. I came over on vacation from Australia in 1989. I went to the old Lone Star before it went down in the earthquake, and I've had a long history with the bar as a patron before I started working there. And I knew if I had a Lone Star T-shirt on in London or in Sydney or New Orleans, people got it. People were like, oh, I know what you're into. I know what you know what I mean. You didn't have to explain yourself. A Lone Star T-shirt was like a secret club all around the world.
Yeah, yeah. I remember when I first came out, it was just like going to the Lone Star was like Mecca.
Yeah.
And waiting in the line and just, in the back, it'd be so packed. There's some pictures I can show that it took like a half hour to get to the bathroom. And it was literally less than 30 feet away.
And it was the best half hour of your life.
Oh, yeah. So you get groped. We even like pee in cups so we wouldn't have to go and put them underneath. There's all sorts
Charlie
of,
loves hearing that. Charlie loves hearing.
well, he probably did
us
it
finding
when he was
cups of
visiting
pee.
Australia.
Yeah. Cleaning up
It's funny
cups
because
of tea.
there was
Those are Vito's, by the way.
the concrete on the back started to get this really rough edge to it, and they said it was because of the acid in the pee would eat away the concrete. That's why we got it redone about 8 years ago.
Oh, wow. Yeah, and then that side hallway, getting through there was really tough, and then waiting for the line for the bathroom, and then getting a beer. But it was just joyous. It's just amazing. Great times. We didn't know that was like the peak of the bear movement time, that we were in the middle of there.
Right, and so the peak insofar as in San Francisco, but I think like there's bear pride in Ottumwa, Iowa, or you know what I mean, like. But you know what I mean? Like there's bear pride. There was one bear bar in the whole country.
No.
One bear bar in the whole world.
Yeah.
So it was this mecca. You're not understating it. And now there's it's sort of like, I don't know if the bear thing's even really peaked yet.
I don't think so. I think it's like you said, it's changed in San Francisco maybe, and in California, but definitely when you go, when I go to TBRU or when I go to different places, you have people from all these parts of the surrounding states, Oklahoma and North Dakota, who've never been to an event before,
Yeah.
and
People still look towards the Lone Star, I think, as the base. Can you guys see it? Yeah.
Yeah.
See, this is the
That
door.
maybe on the left?
This is all the way in the back. Can you see my pointer?
Yeah.
Yes.
You can? The guy in the blue shirt here, they must have been standing up on the little ledge there that you sit on. And that's to get to the bathroom. And that could take quite a while to get to.
What year was this, Vito?
Make it take all day.
That looks like me.
2000s? In the 2000s? I'm not good at years. 22 years ago? 20 years ago?
I think that's a more recent photo than that.
Well, Vito, if you go back to your
just on the
first
Lone
picture,
Star website.
Yeah, I just, when we bought the place, I had to put a website together, and I just
right
went
there.
to the bar.
That's where he was
I
standing.
went to the bar and took a
That
bunch
pee?
of pictures of iconic little, memorabilia on the walls and that. And so this isn't that long ago.
Uh,
Well, that's
I went-
wonderful.
Because I had to learn how to build a website.
what's funny, Vito, is go back to your first picture.
This one?
Those are several of Bill's softball teammates in that photo.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
That's awesome.
It's a small world.
All right. And
Indeed.
so social media's come around since you got it. How has social media been treating you?
Social media is good. It becomes very consuming for me though. Like you have to constantly monitor it and that sort of thing, and that becomes 7 days, 24 hours.
yeah.
You can only be as good as your last post. So if I during this time of this year, I've got nothing to promote. I feel like I've got nothing to communicate to people, and then I have these different ideas, and I share them with people, and I do it through the social media just to keep us engaged with each other.
Right. Now, the way that you have kind of coped with the pandemic is, you don't need to share, but hopefully you've gotten some help with either loans or grants and things like that. But one of the things you also have done is you've stepped up and created the 500 Club.
Yeah, I did the 500 Club. I sit on my face. That was another good one. Sit on my face was fun.
What was? Oh yeah.
Yeah, sit on my face came first, and then the 500 Club.
All right. So the 500 Club is
500. Yeah, I've got one here too.
And Clay's got his.
Well,
I'm
it's
doing
Bill's.
an edition in
Right.
black. The 500 Club is 500 people buy these key straps, and each key strap is individually numbered. So 1 through 500. What's your number, Clay?
Bill's is 38.
38. Wow.
No, 83. I'm Lex Disick.
This is still an early one though.
Yeah.
And then when we reopen, there'll be benefits to the people that have supported us during this time. It's very tough to go a month without revenue. It's really tough to go 6 months without revenue, and it's coming up on a year soon.
Yeah.
And you know, it's not a charity. So you have to develop ways like Sit on My Face, the 500 Club, to keep people giving you money to if they want to party it to the other side. And you know, enough people express enough interest to do so. So I started this club, and when we do reopen, you get free entry to certain events. There'll be a couple of beer busts a year, which will be free to the members. And a new one that I just thought of the other day in my little stoner world is a limited edition 500 Club cap. And you buy the cap, it's $30. And then when you bring your key strap in, I'll have some number set up in the corner with a sewing machine, and they'll embroider your number onto the back of a hat.
There you go.
Still got to buy the hat, but you show them your little key strap, and they'll embroider your number on the back of the hat.
What was the Sit on My Face thing?
Sit on My Face was if you go to the website. Oh no, it's not on there anymore.
It's not on it, yeah.
Yeah, you could have your face carved into the bar stool leg, and your name underneath. I'll see if I can get you some photos of it. But we had a laser etcher, and you took a photo, and it was all done digitally, and the guy would program it into the computer, and it would just laser etch it on. I took the bar stool legs off the bar stools, took them down to the bloke. He laser etches your face, or some people like the Bears of San Francisco had their logo etched into the bar stool leg, and then underneath you put some tape over it, and it etches through the tape, and you put your name there, and then you get some red paint and sprays over the paint, over the tape, takes it off, and so you've got your face and your name in red underneath.
That's awesome.
And I put them back on the bar stools.
And then tell us about the wieners.
The wieners, the floating dicks. That was me and Bearpad, or Bearpad and I went out to his house one day, and we took about a dozen beers with me, and he'd done a couple of things, a couple of events, and he said, "How can I help you? What can I do to help you get through this?" And so I went out to his house, 12 beers, some masonite, a few cans of paint. We sat there all day, just the two of us in his backyard, making these wieners. Now, he's already done like 300, 400 of them. And so he numbered these, and it's sort of a limited edition for the Lone Star Fund, if you will. And to be honest with you, for $25, yeah, that's them. That's on his backyard. That was taken on the day.
The wieners.
For $25, and we did like 50 of them. It's not a huge earner, and it's certainly only a drop in the ocean compared to what we're facing financially. Like, we might make $300 out of it.
Oh.
You know, $300 isn't going to pay, 2 weeks of the light bill. But there's a way to. It's a way for me to stay engaged with people like Bearpad, people like my customers, and to have something, tangible. A tangible way for them to show support.
Absolutely. That's
I
wonderful.
saw this article about this guy from, I think, somewhere in London, or some British guy, and he was 99, and he decided to raise money, I think, walking, I don't know, 10 miles, 100 miles or something. And he started out and raised 1,500 pounds, and then somehow ended up continuing. People loved him, whatever. He made 32 million pounds, and then they
32 million pounds.
And I think they gave him an honorary knighthood at 100 when he turned 100. Yeah, so
crazy.
So no, but I thought it was a really interesting idea, and I was to tie in what we're talking about. Have you thought about doing something for sort of Lone Star related, but for first responders, like a event, for firemen or EMTs or something, something where you can co-host or something, an event to get money for, something that's going on, or some some cause you like, but also to help you guys out.
Well,
You know, it's like I say about the penises, right? The dicks from Bear Pad. It's not a big money earner, and to be honest with you, this sounds callous right now. We spend every weekend at the bar doing at least one beer bus for charity for the last 30 years. If I'm raising any money, it's going to be for me right now. I would love to collaborate with someone else, but right now I really am focusing. I mean, we'll go back to that day, the day when we have a different charitable event, and that's the thing people don't remember too when we talk about our spaces. The Eagle's just getting its new status.
Did that happen?
I'm not sure. I'm not sure. Still, I was
okay. So Eagles was up for what do you call it? Historical
landmark.
Yeah, historical landmark. Yeah.
Yeah. So we don't know. We actually had the new owners before one of them passed away on our audio podcast when we were based out of San Francisco. So if anyone wants to go back and look at that or listen to that was really amazing.
Yeah.
Wait a second.
First responders would be a good one for sure.
Wait a second. We have a Bernie sighting.
No. That is Dickie. Dickie does this work. He does that. He did the T-shirt too. Dickie's amazing. I give him an idea.
Hysterical.
And
Yeah.
Bernie's everywhere.
Yeah. That's Dickie.
Well, God, like I said, so many questions. If we weren't in the pandemic, it'd be a little bit easier to ask you questions. But can anybody think of a question you want to ask Charlie?
Yeah, well, what's
Actually-
the status? Oh, go ahead.
Go ahead, Tim.
Yeah, I was thinking about it earlier today, just like how important gays are how important gays are to the gay community, how important gay bars, how important they are to the gay community, as you know, especially for like young people that are struggling with coming out, or you know, from the Midwest someplace they don't have gay bars, and you know, showing up, you know, coming to San Francisco and stepping into the Lone Star for the first time, you know, first time ever going into a gay bar. Is that something that you think about at all?
Oh, absolutely.
You know, just
Absolutely.
being-
You know, like if we were doing the, how good a good example, Pride comes around every year. We put the flags up, we put the fronting up, we put the decorations up. And, you know, I've worked in gay bars for over 35 years now, in Australia and here. And decorating for the big weekends, after a while, to be totally honest, you're sort of like...
You get jaded.
But then on the weekend, some kid named Mackenzie comes in from Chico, and it's his first time in a gay bar, and he sees all the effort that people have gone to. He sees all this pride, real pride, tangible visual reminders of the fact that we are proud of who we are, and this is our weekend, and blah, blah, blah. And he comes into the bar and he sees it all decorated up. And I look at that little kid in the face, and I think, oh, gee, I'm glad I put those up. You know what I mean? Like, I don't do it for me anymore, is what I'm trying to say. But every year there's this constant supply of kids coming into the bar that get this swell of pride. You know what I mean? And when you see it, you'll know exactly what I mean. And over the years,
you're right.
Many times.
You're right. Like, oh, dude, I don't want to be in the parade this year on the bear float. I've done it so many years. Well, you know, it's not about me.
Right. You know, it's a more of a civic-minded thing. And to your question, that sense of pride in the bar for the rest of the year, it still has to be there. You know, it is a place for people to come. You'll get situations unique to gay bars that if it was a bar that had opened last week that they weren't familiar with, there's a learning process, and all that energy and all that love and all that acceptance and all those people's first time in a gay bar was at the Lone Star, and all those people's first time they felt comfortable being fat in a gay bar was at the Lone Star. All of that energy is still in that space, and you can't just open up next door and expect to feel that same thing. It's very connectable,
Oh, just
Sorry.
in the energy, you can feel it.
Yeah, absolutely. You can't replace
All the
that.
years. Yeah.
Yeah.
Ah, that's neat.
Yeah.
Oh, if those walls could talk.
Well, get God to shut up.
So
Yeah.
what's the current
I don't know. I
status?
was drunk most of the time. I've probably
And-
forgotten more of the things that I've done.
What's the current status in San Francisco as far as are they loosening restrictions?
They have loosened restrictions, but you know, like just makes me angry to think about it. Out the front of the bar, right? You've got that parking lot to this side, and the other stores to this side. We asked if we could go 50 feet this because we were thinking about getting a parklet, right? And you can go 50 feet that side. So we wanted to go 50 feet down that side, and so they said you just got to get permission from the hotel. Piece of piss, no worries. Go around there. Even wrote out a letter because they told me what they need to say. Can you get your boss to sign this? It just says you have no problem with me putting this parklet down there. And so give it to the bloke next door. And what does he say? What's in it for me?
Mm,
What do I get out of it?
mm.
Like, really, dude? I
Is
wanted
it-
the nuts.
Is this the store on the corner or the hotel?
This is the hotel. They wanted a cut of the money. And you're like, you dirty prick. Doesn't make any difference to you. So the guy on the other side said, yeah, sure. And the and that hotel's been full since COVID started because they're one of the homeless shelters, the emergency homeless shelters. So they've had full occupancy the whole time. Someone asks them to do something that doesn't impact them at all, and they're like this. So to your question about what's happening now, you can open up outside. We're in kind of a windy, nothing part of Harrison Street. You know, if there was a couple of food venues or something around us, it might make it viable. But once you open, all these expenses that people don't think about, like insurance, liability, all that sort of stuff kicks back in. Now, I'm not making buckets of money when I'm at 100% and we're up and running. But to have a quarter occupancy and those same bills just doesn't make sense. It's cheap for me to just
Now,
take.
what about another idea I had too when I was in Palm Springs in December? They had the bar, the Levi Leather kind of bar there called Barracks, and they Palm Springs said they couldn't open unless they were served food or a restaurant, and basically they started serving little pizzas, personal pizzas, and they had separate tables that were 6 feet apart. And granted, it's a different experience, but they were able to stay open, so you can
Like
order.
like hybrid.
Yeah, exactly. It was a hybrid model, but it could be a temporary band-aid on a situation, at least to get people in there.
Frozen pizzas.
Well, yeah, or you can just do like a pizza oven,
There's a lot of ways to skirt those food rules. There's some apps you can use that once you've shown you've ordered this food and they bring you, $5 worth of nachos, you can get around those kind of rules quite easily. And there's not a lot of money in actually selling food.
No, but you sell the beer and all that stuff.
Right. But the thing with Palm Springs was it sounds like it was indoor. If I'm only allowed to do outdoor. I'm not even on a patio. If I have tables 6 foot apart inside, I'd be closed down because I'm not allowed to have anything inside.
Yeah. What about not outside in the patio?
You talk about 8 people. If I put tables 6 foot apart, you're talking about 8 people, and it's too meager. Once all those other things kick in, because you're now operating, it is, and same with the Eagle. There's too much that kicks in that you're not going to be able to get back on 25% occupancy. So you're better off keeping those overheads as low as you can, and staying closed.
So we have Bruce.
Bruce, my mate Bruce.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah, he's the other bartender. He and I have worked together for about 13 years now, and the last 4 of it as owners.
And you don't want to kill each other?
No. We do have our differences,
Not enough to carry it out.
But no, not enough to pull the trigger.
We had Tasty on as a guest.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Cool. Tasty's awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Radio juice.
pretty awesome.
Hey,
Rick,
speaking of which, one of the things we showcased with Tasty was his artwork. I was asking Vito, what are you still doing with yours? I mean, I still have one of your bears, your watercolor bear, and what are you doing with that stuff?
I'm working on an eagle at the moment.
Oh, nice.
I did a rooster, which I fucking just love. I don't know if I sent you a picture of the rooster.
No, you didn't.
But yeah, it's funny. I've got all this time that I never had, and I thought I'd be like jogging, and, learning to do all these crafts that I thought, all these things that I thought I'd learn how to do, and all this time on my hands, and I've done an embarrassingly small amount of it.
Oh, see, his artwork is amazing. Yeah, I've always loved your artwork, and do you have awesome. Do you have a site that we can share, like on the YouTube thing, like, or a link for your artwork?
No, I tend to just paint until I've got about 10 or 12 things, and then I put them up in an exhibition, and with not wanting to sound immodest, but they all just sell. And then I've got an empty room and I start painting again. I sort of paint for the love of painting.
Hey, Charlie, I have a question. Those panels that look like they have nails or screws in them, are they painted, or is that actual pieces of metal? Or
it's drawn, then it's done in watercolors, and then I do some illustration work on it. So it's
wow.
Yeah.
That's
So
cool.
is it supposed to be that they're metal?
It's metal. It's a patchwork. It's like the heart, for example. When you look at certain aspects of it, you get some amazing, unusual shapes that otherwise don't need to appear anywhere. Like those things at the top there, and it's part of the expression is that it takes all these little things, all these individual shapes that are all completely different, although they look very similar, to make up a heart.
Yeah.
Like Ron Braun taught me that you see the piece between the purple and the red. I don't know if you move up, that piece there. That piece there is a valve that when you're in your mother's uterus, that valve is this way. And then when you come out of the uterus, the blood is exposed to, the body's exposed to oxygen, its own oxygen, and that valve flips once.
Well, yeah, it actually similar. The valve closes when you're born. So when it's open, and then when you're exposed to oxygen, it closes. But that's actually what allows us to. We don't breathe through our lungs until we're born. We get our blood from the mother.
I always wondered how that worked.
Yeah, we can actually.
I don't think this was on the topic list.
Yeah, we're off topic, but
I was
like,
list.
so they're getting their oxygen through blood.
Well,
it's
interesting though. There's liquid oxygen, and you can swim in that underwater and breathe it.
Oh, and I have heard of that too.
Yeah.
Like an
Abyss,
alien?
right?
What was that movie?
You could technically.
The Abyss.
Yeah.
The Abyss?
The Abyss, yes, like The Abyss.
Probably cough a lot when you came out. You might cough to death.
Well, Charlie, we have gone on a little bit longer than we normally would. So is there anything you'd like to share to wrap up, like what your future plans are or your hopes?
To keep everybody in the loop, if we're at about 450 of these, if we sell out all 500 of them, the Lone Stars are going to be fine. So there we go. There's Mr. 450 there. But if we get through this with a little help from our friends, we're going to be just fine.
That's great. That's great news. Because too many things are closing and too many safe spaces for gays are closing. It's not good. It's not good. Not good. Not good.
Well, Charlie, you're wearing a fun T-shirt that's topical. So why don't you start our T-shirt section?
You're blurry. I don't know what happened, Tim. You're blurry.
This is here. This is a cupcake T-shirt from the bar. And when I first got it from the bar, I thought it fit pretty well. And then a year later in COVID, it's a little bit tight, but this is the back of it has a
The COVID 10, the COVID 20.
He says, constantly pulling it down. There we go. Thank you very much. So yeah, it's a cupcake t-shirt done by Dickie. I told him I want cupcake to look like Coca-Cola.
Oh, I love Dickie.
The 2 capital C's. So that's my t-shirt.
All right, thank you.
Cute.
Who wants to go next?
Yay. I'll go.
All right.
This is a rebellion, isn't it? I rebel. I got this for the whole rebelling against Trump stuff. The stupid Republicans. All right. Now you know how I feel.
That's how you really feel. Because that wasn't it. So my shirt, I think I might have worn this before. Yeah. What guy?
Little belly there.
I can't remember his first name. Last name's Fish. Lives up in Napa. Does his own skateboard company. Loves bears. Has a husband.
I think his first name is Kenneth, isn't it?
Yes. Thank you.
Okay.
Yes, Kenneth. So he's actually not. He ran into some trouble with using the name Catastrophe, even though it's spelled cat ass trophy. I can't remember the name of what his new thing is right now, but I'll find it. I'll send it to you, Vito, if you want to put it up on the site.
Yeah, that'd be great.
Up on the YouTube.
That'd be great. All right.
Well, someone's wearing a classic T-shirt. Looking at you there, Wolfie.
Mm-hmm.
Our T-shirt, which you can buy online.
They
See it on our
delivered
website.
much faster than they were when we bought them.
That's good.
Have you done Charlie the flashlight part of that t-shirt?
Somebody always has to bring it up.
I demanded
The
it was
wind. It's the wind.
It's usually me.
Of course, I always blame it on the wind.
So, do you have a T-shirt on, Ron? What's
I do.
going on?
I put it over here. It's
Deep.
just a little tie dye I got
Nice.
from.
Is that the guy from the side of the road?
Yeah, did I wear this before?
Yeah.
This was the
got that in a blanket.
one in Felton or Ben Lomond. They had to
Awesome.
flooding here, but
It's cool.
Don't be offended, but I'm really shocked he had your size.
I know.
No.
The guy.
Well, speaking of shock, they have your size. I bought these at a
Oh, yeah, what do you got?
French athletic gear shop called Decathlon. They opened up in Emeryville, and there's one in San Francisco. So it's very rare that they actually have sizes that I can wear. But I got this fun T-shirt.
You a little bit closer. Woo. So is it cavemen?
Yeah, it's kind of like cavemen. It's a
Turtle.
Spanish artist. She's from outside of Barcelona, and her name. Let's see. Share screen. Boop. What are we doing? There we go. This one. Share. Can you see that?
Oh,
Yeah.
Oh, there. Oh, yeah. Oh my God, so bright.
And then what's all this stuff? You can go away.
Oh,
Well, anyway.
we'll definitely we'll get that link on.
Yeah, her name. And let's see. Here's something that I thought you would like, Vito. Guacamole.
Who doesn't like
Who
guacamole?
doesn't like? Actually, I know somebody who's allergic to avocados,
Oh no.
and I know somebody who actually just doesn't like
Probably
avocado.
still likes guacamole.
Crazy.
Funny thing, because we commented about shirt sizes.
Mhm.
So Kenneth, who made this shirt, when he first had him up for sale, and he might only wear, I'm assuming he only wears an XL, but I sent him a direct message saying, "Hey, dude, you can't do a shirt with a chubby guy on it and only go up to XL."
Yeah.
That's just me.
He's like, "Okay, what do you wear?" And he's like, "Oh yeah, I wear a 2X." And so he had a couple made, and he was just gonna send me one. And I don't know Kenneth. we've never met. We just, we chatted on Instagram. He was just going to send me a shirt because I asked him to make a XX. I'm like, dude, no, let me pay for this.
Yeah, of course.
I don't need a handout for it. But, yeah.
Stop giving away your goods.
Yeah. Oh, that was sweet. Yeah. All right, what else we got?
All right, well, let's see. Normally at this point, we would be talking about current events, and things have kind of calmed down in that regard. Less frenetic. So
simmering.
Yeah. Tim pointed out today is the second day of Black History Month, and there are a lot of pretty interesting things going on in that department. So Tim, why don't you start us off on this topic?
Well, Stacey Abrams she's been nominated for a Nobel Peace Prize. I don't know what else to say about. Oh, and also, well, Black Lives Matter also as an organization has a nomination. Well, actually, it's more of a movement and not as the organization. But yeah, there's a lot of stuff going on right now. Something that I might recommend as a watch, if you're familiar with the director Steve McQueen, he did 12 Years a Slave. He's got this whole series, the Small Axe series, which is on Amazon Prime. I've watched the first. They're in there as episodes, but they're basically like a feature-length film. So the one that I watched, the first one, is called Mangrove. It's about a restaurant called Mangrove in Notting Hill, and their story of basically overcoming police oppression. The time when they had that. It's true story, that one. But yeah, definitely really, really worth watching. Some really powerful performances, really strong, intelligent storytelling. So.
And that's on Amazon Prime?
Yeah. Okay. Small Axe is the series.
Speaking of Stacey Abrams too, I mean, just the amount of hard work that Black women did in this recent election to gather together, to gather support, to gather attention, was extraordinary. And I think it sets a good example for how to do a grassroots sort of organization. And I think it speaks very well for obviously Black History Month, but for the history of this country. I think in many ways, and I think that strong Black women like Stacey Abrams are going to be what saves democracy in this country, and maybe already has.
That's how Georgia kind of happened, right?
Exactly.
Oh, yeah.
That's exactly.
Yes, absolutely.
Totally.
You want to chime in,
Stacey, nothing.
Chime in.
Not only did she turn Georgia blue for the presidential race, she turned Georgia blue for both Senate seats.
Yes.
That's an accomplishment.
Yeah.
Yeah, there you go. Chime in, Wulf.
Yeah.
On to Ron's point about history, also, I guess the Treasury Department's started up the process of looking at putting Harriet Tubman on the $20 bill to replace Andrew Jackson. Is that right?
Yeah.
So
I'm not sure. Is the Treasury actually like directly involved with it at this point, or is this just like trying to garnish support at this point from?
My understanding, it was the Treasury that was initiated this, but I could be wrong. Let's see.
Well, and I think these lines.
You're probably right.
Why does representation matter? That's what we're talking about with the Lone Star. Why do the bars matter? Why does representation matter? It does matter. It makes
because we're in our bubbles.
Yeah.
And the next, can we do the next topic yet, Clay?
Yeah.
Because we get in our bubbles, and I don't know how the Black experience, because I'm not Black, right? So I just go along my day, and I don't know. It's.
So Vito, to our next topic. To our next topic, are you being clueless, or is that privilege?
I don't know, but that's the first step.
I think
is awareness.
Well,
right?
And what creates the awareness is having Harriet Tubman on a $20 bill, or having
a problem is always the first step.
Yeah, or having Buttigieg as the first gay transportation.
Yeah, that was today.
Regardless of what you think about him as a person, as a gay person, that's a big milestone for us. So, those types of things do raise awareness. And just as us being, gay men or self-labeled as bears or whatever we want to call ourselves, I'm sure other people who haven't had an experience have no clue what our lives are about. We're still figuring it out ourselves.
Yeah.
So I think having something to open a dialogue is can be really important.
But during the years of Obama, I had a thought, and it's like it went in and went out, and I was just like, what if there's a backlash? What if
That's
the
a really
white
good
people
point.
like get desperate, like our power's being
That's
taken away, and what are they
that's a
going to
really
do?
good point,
And then I
Vito.
didn't really think much of it after that, after a thought, and then look what just happened.
Well, there's a guy.
That's how we get Marjorie Taylor Greene.
Oh God.
Well, but there was a guy on NPR, and I'm terrible with names, but he was talking about exactly that we should have expected a Trump following a Obama if we look back at history of the backlash that people do for things like this. Now, does that mean you don't do it? Does that mean you don't stand up at the Stonewall? Because there's going to be a backlash? Of course not. You do what's right.
No.
But
Yeah.
We got to power through it.
yeah, but on a $20 bill, I don't know. Maybe they'll put somebody else, some idiot, on a $100 bill or something. I don't know. Or maybe they'll riot. But I mean, it's hard to say how much of a backlash.
They might. Now, when you said that, the $20 bill thing, the first thing that popped up for me was, now we have to be sure that this stuff is real, because QAnon people and Trumpies with their
Conspiracy?
theories.
You got this.
Rico College. Conspiracy theories. I mean, I know a couple that they actually told me that, did you hear? The Washington Monument, they're going to change the name of the Washington Monument to a black person.
So what you're saying
They
is
believe that stuff.
we don't want to just get it wrong and not do any research, and really look into it, rather than if Breitbart and the QAnon say it, it must be true.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. I don't want to do that.
I think that is one of the things that separates us from the QAnons, is that we look into it, we research, we don't take it at face value as easily, especially the outrageous crap they're coming up with.
Yeah.
I mean, you don't even want to see if there is such a thing as a space laser before you even go along with this. Like whether it's Jewish or not,
Well, if it's
So
kosher,
funny you said that. I looked it up on Snopes today, and I couldn't find anything about it.
At least you looked it up.
Yeah, exactly. That's the point.
Well, yeah. If you hear anything?
How disturbing is it that we need a place like Snopes to be able to look to debunk something about a
That's
Jew?
crazy.
it
If
is
you actually
great.
go through Snopes, there's some crazy stuff they have to debunk that's just like, what? And I wish I could provide examples, but there are.
There
Just
should be
go
a
through the
button
site.
with just Wolfie saying, "What? What?"
Yeah.
No, don't even bother looking it up.
That's gonna be our next promo. Is just gonna be Wolfie. What?
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 What? Well, let's talk a little bit about privilege in the gay white male community, because as you look around the room here, we all white. So
Well, that's why I think it's important. We have had some diverse guests on, and that's part of our thing, is to continue to have representation as best we can. That's one thing. Like I would ask Charlie, like what can be done as far as like branding for the Lone Star. I know you guys have done some inclusive things, but like how can that be an example for other places?
Just to open up to it, like when we started putting other than Calvin Klein models on our posters, it was amazing how much people just embraced it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It wasn't.
Oh, right.
It wasn't squeamishy stuff that a lot of people thought of. People just was like, oh, finally, it was like a natural progression. And I would encourage other venues to just go with it. I see a lot of very inclusive advertising on TV and that now. And the sky didn't fall down, you know, it's not the end of the world. The earth didn't stop spinning, you know, just because there's a fat chick in a bra on TV, you know. She's allowed to sell a bra because guess what? There's probably more people buying her bra than the other ones, you know. So I see it going in, permeating all different types of media now, which is great. I'm not saying that I've led the pack or anything, but other places don't worry about the oh no's. You know what I mean? Just do it, embrace it. You won't look back.
I can't remember who I talked to about this. Jake, the State Farm guy.
Yes.
Transitioned to a black guy.
Uh-huh.
Did I talk to you guys about that?
No, not on
How do you do that?
Well, the commercials.
Yeah.
Commercials.
Oh! I thought he meant like he was one of those people
Transition,
from Germany who got really tan and tried to be black.
Khakis, you know.
Yeah.
And I mean, it's obvious they made a conscious decision.
Yeah, good.
You know, to have a black guy be Jake.
Yeah.
Yeah.
When I think a lot of businesses have shown that, you know, the more diversity there is, the better the businesses function, you know, because they have different viewpoints
and the decision-making process to go from white Jake to black Jake, like, should we have a black Jake? That discussion never happened when they initially started with white Jake. No one said, should we do a white guy?
Right.
Yeah, exactly.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Well, and representation, someone brought that up. It reminded me of how Nichelle Williams, I hope I'm saying her name right, the first Lieutenant Uhura, she was going to quit. And actually, Martin Luther King Jr. sat her down and was like, no, you can't.
Nichelle Nichols.
First interracial kiss on television.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But
it was forced with an alien.
But she was the first
They
African American on TV in the United States that wasn't a servant,
right,
or wasn't a housewife. You know, she was an officer aboard a Starfleet vessel. He said, "That's so powerful. You are important, and what you're doing is important. And yes, it's just science fiction, et cetera, et cetera." But
Gene Roddenberry used to kind of hit on her too. He was creepy. I have to check my Snopes, but I'm pretty sure.
Thanks for swinging Black history back around to white privilege.
No. I'm saying that's one of the reasons she wanted to leave the show. That's one of the reasons she wanted to leave. She had a very good reason for not wanting to be there, but she stayed because of her representation.
And Martin Luther King.
Wow.
Sorry that she had to pay such a high price. That's unfortunate.
Yeah.
To pave the way. So
what can we do, you know, with our white privilege, so to speak? You know, what can we do? And you know, just like we're talking about, one of the things is become aware, like Charlie said, like, hey, why don't we consider more than just, you know, whatever is in front of us? I mean, that's one thing we could do. Do you guys have any other ideas?
I do. I heard a person was saying, she was African American, and she said, "It's not my job to teach white America about the Black experience." There are countless articles online, there are movies, there are short stories, there are oral histories, there's all kinds of things that you can access. And so I think the number one thing that we can do as white men is exercise that privilege, because we all have, you know, a cell phone or a tablet or a computer. Not everybody does. And use it to look things up and to get educated on our own. We don't, you know, our African American friends don't have to explain African American issues to us. There are resources, and that holds for any community, whether it be the transgender or, you know, any ethnicity or religious group. There are a lot of resources out there. So
you're the one who told me, wouldn't it be great if there was this magical thing that sat beside you and in your pocket all the time, that you could actually look up anything that you possibly could want?
The other thing is too, when they do tell you, when people of color do tell you how these things affect their lives, listen. I mean, it's
Yeah.
it's a very knee-jerk reaction of privileged white males, gay males, to let's do this and let's do just listen. It's the best thing you can do is take it in. You don't have to be Captain Save It All. You know what I mean? Just listen. You know what you should do. Well, it's like the kid that got assaulted on leaving the hotel in New York. He should have just showed him the phone. No, you have to solve it. Just just listen to it from his side of the story.
There's automatic assumption.
Not about what you should do. Like, well, they should have just did what the police said. They should have. No, just
I did it.
I'm saying. I do it too.
I did it. I hadn't been exposed to any black people, and I don't remember my age, but I remember I was going down a sidewalk and some people were walking up, and I moved over, and she looked at me like, "You're crazy. What are you doing? You don't need to move." And I just,
Yeah.
I think
We lost Ron.
acknowledging it's
Acknowledging
about the gay people. If you don't know any gay people, you can vilify them, right?
Sorry, Charlie. Go ahead.
Oh, sorry, Charlie.
You have to acknowledge your internal biases. I grew up in the 60s, 70s, 80s, 90s, and there are biases that were hardwired into me that I have to root out, find, identify, and do something about. That's what I can do about Black History Month. And I think about that every year. It's like black eyes, brown eyes, blue eyes thing. You have to acknowledge it. The first person that says, "I'm not racist," I'm like, you know what, dude? Come on, mate. You know what I mean? The bloke cuts you off and he's a bad driver, and you look over. There's all kinds of hidden biases that are hardwired into us that it is our job to go through, and it's a constant process. You don't get to a place where you can say, "I'm not racist anymore." You don't get there, unless you start to at least take the journey. You know what I mean?
Absolutely. What was the puppet show? The puppet everybody's
the Muppets?
Wardrobe change.
No,
You're talking about Avenue Q?
Yeah, Avenue Q.
Oh.
Everybody's a little bit racist.
Yeah.
The marginalized groups own the words that marginalize them, and symbols like Nazi Germany flipping around the triangle. Now the gays own that because you in your face type of thing. So they own that word now, and we own fags, and no.
But at the same time, I look at it differently. Like I definitely, there's been time in the past where I have no issues, like amongst my straight friends who, I'm totally out or any stuff like that. But looking at something and actually using gay as a pejorative to describe something, like thinking that I've got a pass for it because I'm gay, and or even tossing around the word faggot. I won't do it anymore because I don't like it feeling like somebody else might look at me as, well, I don't care what they look at me as. I don't want them to feel like they have permission to use it. So I'm not going to use it.
I think that's a good, very, very good point. And it's a personal choice, and that's fine. But same with the N-word. I don't even like saying that, but yeah, some people say, yeah, I don't like that either. I agree. Maybe they're post acceptance. They accepted it, and now they're saying, I don't like it either. Like it started as a bad word. It's still a bad word. Now words are just words, but obviously they carry weight.
Yeah, but it's been genericized, and I got upset at this guy using and like, "You're my ends," and it was, I believe he was Hispanic, and it was for a group that I was organizing, and he referred to his friends or the people as his ends, and I asked him about it. I want to say called him on it, but he was like, "Dude, that doesn't mean anything. That's just what we do. That's just what we say." But he wasn't black, he was like Hispanic, so it's like, I'm old, and I was like, no, you don't use the N-word for anything.
Chris Rock does a pretty funny thing on like when you should be allowed to use the N word or, another pejorative, faggot. He does a funny one on.
Oh, cool.
And with Chris Rock.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, he's like, if you're driving along, you're not going to call somebody a bad name. But for example, if you're driving along and the person in front of you stopped at a green light and they're listening to, this my shit, it's bananas, and they're not moving, and he said, it may be justified to say, hey, faggot, move the car. Or if he's going to buy Christmas gifts for his kids and it's midnight before Christmas Eve and somebody robs them and runs down the street, he may call them another name, and but there can be a lightness about it too. I mean, not everything has to be so serious. I mean, a lot of people nowadays are just getting caught up in having a platform to be angry instead of, like Charlie said, maybe using it as an opportunity to listen and learn a little bit.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that you just take that word out of your vocabulary, and it's simple. You just never say it. Other people want to say it, whatever. But as a symbol to the friends that I have that are people of color, I will never say that word. Solved. I don't have to worry about it.
Yeah.
Other people's use of it, it's other people's decisions and their choice. But if you want a similar commitment from me and what you guys are trying to accomplish, I'll never say the word. And it's so much easier. Just never say it. It's simple.
I didn't grow up with it. I didn't grow up. My parents
I didn't grow up with
said it. But my mom said that her father used it from Italy, direct from Italy.
We never used it.
It was always classified as a word you should not use, period.
Yeah, just never use it. Just take it out of your vocabulary and throw it away. It's one word.
So quick question. The word queer, yay or nay in this group?
Oh, I never liked
It's
it.
awkward.
I love it.
I do too.
I love it. I think it's all inclusive. We're here. We're queer. Get used to it. And I've had my elders stare me down at gay rallies for chanting that because they were so offended by it. They just couldn't. That was back in the 90s. And then even when HuffPost changed their gay, they decided to get rid of the alphabet soup, the lesbian, gay, trans, bisexual, they're like queer voices, and people quit HuffPost over it that was a couple of years ago. So it's still very powerful. It's interesting how, language evolves, but, not for everyone, I guess.
It's a process for sure. And it's generational too, I think.
I haven't heard the word dyke used pejoratively in decades. And then that's the case study that I used for trying to explain to people who are offended by the word queer is, lesbians reclaimed the word dyke. And they took all the slang out of it. You can't hurt us with this word. We own it. Boom. We could do that with queer.
Well,
call them that, I think.
I just did the definition on Google Home, and it's different or strange. So that's probably why a lot of people don't.
You gotta use Urban Dictionary. I bet there's ones in there.
I love Urban Dictionary.
I do too.
Well, with queer, I think even nowadays, even within the gay community, I think in this day and age, I think a lot of people take on the label queer right now because they don't feel like they necessarily fit under gay or lesbian or bi or trans, but they know that they're other. Just the queer is the otherness.
Yes, and that's a relatively new use of the term, which I'm fascinated by because I grew up where I had to be labeled. I didn't have a choice,
Yeah, I have some bad associations with it from my growing up too, which is why I never really warmed to it. I used to feel the same way about faggot, and now it does. And the same with queer, the stings come out of it a little, but you sort of become worn down to it all. You're desensitized, and I think I might need to be desensitized.
I don't know if desensitized is the right word. I just don't get offended by it anymore because I'm have enough self-confidence where
Right.
it doesn't really bother me. But what Clay's saying is it still might not be appropriate.
When I was at the gay pride in New York, I had a t-shirt that said, "That's Sergeant Faggot to you." And I had two police officers staring at me, and one of them just started busting up laughing. He's like, "Okay, you need to come here." And he got on his radio. I was like, "Sarge, I need you down here at the corner." And the sergeant's like, "I'm busy." He's like, "Sarge, you got to come down here." So the sergeant comes down here and goes, "Hey, Sarge, this guy's got your t-shirt." And I turn around and the sergeant's like, "Oh, really? Put me down for this?" Completely unfazed that, his, corporal was calling him a faggot, said that he needed a faggot t-shirt, and it was just lighthearted and easygoing, and, and the shirt had the intended shock value diminish that I wanted it to. And I really appreciated that moment.
You're owning that word, and it takes the power away when you own it.
Exactly.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Sure.
Well, we also need to consider that. Well, I'm not saying we need to consider it, but it's worth pointing out that we all live in a bubble. There's people, living in the boonies that, anytime they hear the word faggot, they think like, all right, I'm getting beat up.
Yeah, it's true.
Yeah, that's the other thing. I mean, even San Francisco, I mean, our sort of acceptance of diversity, it's the butt of jokes for a lot of the rest of the parts of the country.
Sure.
Look at those crazy hippies over there.
In California, the whole state.
Another,
the whole state is a liberal mecca.
Yeah. And then you're here, and then people come here and they say, well, this is actually really nice. People are getting along, so on and so forth, and again, like Charlie was saying, the Lone Star can be a good platform for that, for people who haven't experienced other things, and they say, hey, look, this is, and I think we forget that being used to it, that other people aren't at all kind of used to any sort of, commingling or diversity from where they're from. Growing up in Ohio, I mean, we had very little diversity, and, and I didn't really get that until I chose to move to the East Coast, and then in South Florida, and then California, and each time it's hard sometimes because you don't know how to relate to people, or you don't know what their lingo is, or what the right words are to say. But the more you just listen, like Charlie said, or expose yourself to it, you learn.
Well, let's go ahead and wrap this up because we're a little bit over on time. Vito's going to have to do his editing. I would say that based on what I've heard here, white male privilege, obviously it exists in the gay male community. Things that we can do are educate ourselves, listen. I really appreciate you saying that, Charlie, because not enough of us do that, and we don't really listen. And and you didn't say, but it kind of goes without saying, and don't mansplain it back to them.
Yes.
And
Right.
then the other thing is, I was teasing you at the beginning, Vito. Are you being privileged, or are you just clueless? And it's okay not to know. I mean, and you might get attacked for that. Well, you should know. It's like, all right, well, I should do a lot of things, but you do the best that you can, and try and put your energy into it. And I think that will help us all in the long run. Didn't get to talk a lot about that topic the way I wanted to, but it was a good conversation. So thank you guys.
Bring it up, next time. Thank you.
Yeah. So I think we need to roll into Backscratches. Who would like to start us off tonight?
You remember Backscratches, Charlie?
I do.
I told you about that? Okay.
Mine's going to be my Backscratches
Twice.
for keychains. Sorry. I have to take them.
You would backscratch the people that have already bought them.
Yes. Thank you to the people that have bought these. Thank you for you guys for letting me come on the show today. I've really enjoyed it. I got a little carried away there at times, but thank you.
Awesome.
Thank you.
Yeah, thanks for being here.
Well, I'll go. Charlie, did you make these?
Did.
You did.
Yep.
I'm not into leather, but I like the smell. So thank you. And thanks for being here tonight. You added a lot to the
He rubs his
conversation.
balls on all of them too.
Good sauce.
Post-workout, apparently.
Well, I think maybe he just created a leather man there. You didn't know he was a leather man. He's going to buy a jock now and the leather spray. And
the whole collection of this COVID doesn't end.
So thank you. Next.
I'll go next.
Okay.
Um,
Okay, Ron will go.
Oh, sorry. Go ahead. I didn't hear you.
It's all you.
All right. I just want to get it over with. That's all. I'm tired. All of the people working at the hospital and the nurses, the doctors, the techs, the cleaning crew, everybody, because we are making a dent in this, and things are starting to loosen up at not just my hospital, but in San Francisco and other places. And what that means is more ICU beds open, and that means more restaurants and businesses open, and so on and so forth. So I think that there is a light at the end of the tunnel. I do see things getting better, and we're hopeful. And there's a lot of conspiracies about variants. Ignore those because it's more garbage. The truth of the matter is that the cases are coming down, at least for now. And if people keep doing what they're doing, then we can help support our businesses and our community. So,
and then the overlap with the vaccine.
Yeah. And thank you to Charlie. And you have one more leather strap on your thing. So 551, maybe. I don't know what number, but there's another one. There's another one. Helping you. Oh, yeah. Helping you get to 500.
Yeah. Thank you.
Okay, Tim.
All right. Want to thank all of y'all, the elements, and to you, Charlie. And to Bruce, the Lone Star in general. I mean, it's been a huge part of my sort of emerging as a part of the gay community in San Francisco. So yeah, that's gonna be the bulk of it, I think.
All right. And Wulf, let's switch to you.
Let's see. I'd like to give a back scratch to both my mates, James and Brock. And I would love to give a back scratch to the folks at my gym. The gym's opened in Multnomah County here in Portland. So happy about that. So big back scratch to Tim, Corbin, and Polly over at my gym. So thank you.
All right. Last but not least, Mr. Vito.
Oh, well, thank everybody for coming. Charlie, for taking over the Lone Star. I tried to take over something years ago because I just loved it and wanted to keep it going, but it didn't work out. So I'm glad it worked out for you. It's a big, you just want to see it stay around, right?
Yep, exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
And the boys and my roommates and that's all.
And to Ron's point, our 91-year-old neighbor just got her first dose of the vaccine this morning. So we're starting to get there. I mean, there's not enough doses, but at least they're getting out there. So
yeah, there's a lot of the local nursing homes in Salinas and Watsonville and Santa Cruz and Monterey County have already been vaccinated. And the secondary sort of extended care facilities. So that's a cool. Big thing. A lot of at-risk people in the community are getting their vaccine. So
cool.
Awesome.
Let's
say goodbye formally.
All right, everybody.
See you next Tuesday.
Bye.
See you next Tuesday.
Visit us at bearelement.com.